Welcome to livingpianos.com. Robert Estrin with such a provoking question, which is, who are the greatest three living pianists in the world? You know, where did I get this idea from? Well, a follower of mine, Max, in England, he posed this question to me in an email, and I looked at it and I scoffed at it. I thought, this is ridiculous. How could you possibly narrow it down to three greatest living pianists in the world? And then I got a brainstorm and I got a criteria that I think makes sense. And you can watch this to the end and find out if you agree with this. First of all, I'm limiting this only to classical pianists because it's ridiculous enough. And first thing I want to do is mention many other pianists who deserve to be on this list, because in reality, it's impossible to really narrow it down to only three, although, as I said, I have a way of doing it, and you'll see if you agree. So I'm going to start now. I'm going to start with somebody who I've had a great opportunity to study with, Ruth Slenczynska. Ruth Slenczynska is the oldest living student of Rachmaninoff. She also studied with Arthur Schnabel, Egon Petri, Alfred Cortot, Joseph Hoffman, and she has been performing since she's 4 years old. She was one of the great child prodigies of the 20th century, and even came up with another album just a few years ago, and been concertizing well into her 90s. So I think she deserves to be on this list. Her playing of the Chopin etudes and Liszt and Rachmaninoff is something to behold. Incidentally, in the description here on YouTube and on livingpianos.com are all of these pianists for you to explore. So that's why this video is going to be really valuable for you. You know, when I was growing up, it was like Horowitz, Rubinstein, Sirkin, and Brendel. And Alfred Brendel is still with us today, and he was the first modern pianist to record all the works of Beethoven. He's also immense repertoire, Schubert, Mozart, you name it. And his recording, by the way, of the Mephisto Waltz was one of my favorites, and still to this day, the Liszt Mephisto Waltz. So Brendel deserves to be on this list. What list would be complete without Martha Argerich? I remember as a fairly young child at Lincoln Center, getting to hear her when she was just really getting her career really noted. And I was with my father and his record producer, Alan Silver. And I remember, and I don't remember exactly how he articulated it, but something about that she plays fast, but like no one else, because her speed was spellbinding, but it wasn't just all flash. The substance we're playing to this day is just absolutely breathtaking. Daniel Barenboim is such a versatile musician, pianist and conductor. And you know what? Whenever I've learned a new piece, after I've memorized it and I have convictions about it, I always love to listen to recordings. And one of the best ones to listen to is Barenboim. He's always spot on. He's got a huge repertoire, and it's hard to fault anything that he does. He's really such a beautifully seasoned concert pianist. Then we come up with Vladimir Ashkenazy. Going back, you know, he co-won the 1962 Van Cliburn Competition with another one of my teachers, John Ogdon. And his blend of technical skill and emotional depth, many pianists appreciate his piano playing. And there's, of course, Pollini, Maurizio Pollini. Again, huge repertoire, and the precision and clarity of his playing is just something to behold. Who else is there? Well, what about Garrick Ohlsson? Garrick Ohlsson's been around the scene a long time. He's actually the first and only American to win the Chopin competition. He's got in his repertoire 80 concertos. Can you imagine having 80 concertos in your head and in your hands? I don't know how much they're all there ready to go at a moment's notice, but that's an astounding repertoire. Grigory Sokolov. Oh, such emotional depth and introspection to his playing that is unique. It's a unique voice, and if you haven't listened to Sokolov, make a point of listening to his performances, his recordings. He's unlike any other pianist you've heard. Maria João Pires is known for her poetic sensitivity and interpretations, and for Mozart and Chopin in particular, but she plays all kinds of music, wonderful pianist. And at this point, by the way, I want to take note to mention that if my pronunciations aren't all perfect, if you can leave an audio recording in the comments, a clip to them, so I can listen to them and everybody can correct anything I get wrong. Mitsuko Uchida, her interpretations, particularly of Mozart and Schubert, are just really elegant, and once again, with a beautiful emotional quality to them. András Schiff, his Bach, his French suites in particular, just beautiful playing, very, very well articulated and crafted interpretations with clarity and insight that is definitely one of the great pianists. His Beethoven also, really beautiful playing. Emanuel Ax is a fixture in the piano world and huge repertoire once again, playing all over the world and very expressive performances in both solo as well as chamber music. Emanuel Ax is definitely someone of great note. What about Murray Pariah, known for his refined poetic interpretations, and they're noted for his ability to bring out the clarity and the elegance, really a deep understanding of the classical repertoire. There's so many pianists. What about Ivo Pogorelic? Ivo Pogorelic actually gained his fame by not winning the Chopin International Competition. You might wonder, how could that do it? Well, it just so happens that Martha Argerich was one of the judges, and when he didn't advance to the next round, she walked out, and that was it, and it made such headlines that actually propelled his career. I've gotten to hear him live as well, and there is a real unique voice to his playing that is absolutely somebody in the top tier of pianists. Christian Zimmermann, again, this beautiful elegance and refinement that is something that is really, really well worth listening to. Then there's Jean-Yves Thibaudet, I should say. And once again, beautiful playing. Performances are noted with their elegance. And of course, the technical skill goes without saying. Huge range of repertoire, and he connects with a wide range of audiences. Are you familiar with Marc-André Hamelin? Oh my gosh, his repertoire, he plays some of the most difficult music that most pianists shy away from. You know, the Chopin etudes are hard enough, but Godowsky's arrangements of them, where he adds and embellishes them, are much, much more complex works. Well, he plays those. He plays Alcan, Busoni, as well as his own compositions. Absolutely first-rate pianist. And I'm going to mention somebody who was one of my father's students, Jeff Beagle. Jeff Beagle has carved out an interesting career. Aside from playing the standard repertoire, he has over a dozen concertos written for him from some of the great, great composers, from Balcom to Lieberman. It's a pretty remarkable feat that Jeff has achieved. Leif Ove Ansnes, known for his elegant, refined interpretations, thought-provoking music, and of course the technical skills to back it up, both solo and chamber music. Now, of course, now we're getting to some real heavyweights. Evgeny Kissin. How many of you are waiting for me to mention Kissin? You know, he started at such a young age with his virtuosic technique, his musicality, the riveting performances, and he'd be on anybody's list as one of the greatest living pianists. Then there's Kirill Gerstein, a German pianist performing at Severance Hall. I was not familiar with this pianist, and I'm going to hear his performance. He's playing the Schumann Carnaval and the Liszt B minor Sonata and Ravel La Valse and more in one huge program. Unbelievable. I can't wait to hear this program. He also plays jazz, by the way. What about Lang Lang? Oh my gosh, he's kind of a global ambassador for classical music. He has elevated the piano in China, where there are 40, 50 million piano students, and captivated audiences worldwide, has a unique voice, takes a stand, doesn't play like everybody else. He'll dare to do things different, and he's got the technical skills to back it up. Yuja Wang, you probably have heard about her playing at Carnegie Hall all the complete works of Rachmaninoff with piano and orchestra. unbelievable. All his concertos, the variations on a theme by Paganini, unreal. She is an amazing show person and has the technical skills and the musical depth to back it up. Then there's Caria Butticinelli, and she plays faster than just about any pianist I've ever heard and pulls it off. It's not all just flash. Her performances have emotional depth. Listen to her Mephisto Waltz. You can't believe, from the very first notes, the speed at which she plays that thing and makes such a convincing case. Then you go and try to listen to any other performance, and it just sounds so slow by comparison. Then there's Nobuyuki Tsuji. He won the Cliburn Competition, and there is a documentary about him, A Surprise in Texas, that is riveting. And spoiler alert, if you don't want to know what this is about, then just skip ahead to the next one. But blind since birth, yet plays chamber music, concertos, solo repertoire, as fine as any pianist you've ever heard. And you might wonder, how could he possibly be able to play cohesively in a chamber music setting? He listens for the people breathing. You know how there's a natural breath when somebody is about to play something? Well, he can do it all, and learning music by rote in some cases can't read sheet music, right? It's astounding, and the documentary is well worth watching. Then there's Pavel Koleniskov, a Russian pianist who started on violin, and his piano repertoire from Bach to Tchaikovsky, an absolutely stupendous pianist you may never have heard of. Now, we're coming to the final stretch, and you might wonder, how can I possibly have the final people, how do I, well, you might have noticed something that's going on here. The pianists are getting younger and younger. And I picked the youngest 3 pianists who are on the level of all the others, absolutely first rate. And the reason for that is they're people we can enjoy for decades to come, and it's great to see a new breed of pianists out there. Daniel Trifonov and his technical brilliance and deep musicality are just unreal. The emotional intensity, his repertoire, it's astounding what this man is able to do, a young man and a giant of a pianist. Alexander Molefiv, even younger still, and he's quickly gained international acclaim. His powerful performances and his emotional depth are unbelievable. And lastly, you may have heard somebody who's youngest one to win the Cliburn Competition, and Yanchim Lim, and oh my gosh, his recording of the complete Chopin etudes, and his recording of Liszt, and he's only 20 years old, and yet he is as fine as anybody else I mentioned here. He's got a lifetime of growth ahead. We can listen to what he's doing with his career. So that is my take on great pianists. All of you leave other pianists I've left out. I'm sure there are other pianists of equal quality who I haven't even mentioned. There are so many great pianists in this world. And I mentioned these 3 because they are the 3 youngest who are on this same unbelievable level of technical and musical giants in the piano world. Thanks all of you for supporting livingpianos.com. We are your online piano resource. You're welcome to subscribe here on YouTube, as well as livingpianos.com, where you'll get articles and videos that come right to your inbox of your email. I'm Robert Estrin. Thanks again for joining me.